Bad Words. This was your pick, and I'm just going to pat you on the back right now because I'm a fan. I'm going to start off by saying that as I got to know you, I recommended a bunch of podcasts, and then out of the blue one day, you recommended this Jason Bateman and Will Arnett, and what's the other guy? Sean
Hayes.
Smartless, which I didn't know I was gonna like get into, but it's pretty much on my regular rotation now.
They interview interesting people.
Yeah, and I mean, like, it's super well known. Everybody knows it now, but I'd like to live in the fantasy that we were on the cutting edge. Tell your pick. Go.
Okay. By the way, just in case, as they say on Smartless, listener didn't know, Bad Words is not like just bad words. It's the title of the movie that I picked for this week. So.
It was a 2012 release.
2013.
2013.
Not
okay.
bad. Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah.
A movie. Actually, I don't know. I think it was co-written by Jason Bateman and directed by him as well. And he also stars in this movie.
Andrew Dodge
was the other.
Was the primary.
Thank you.
Primary writer. Actually, before I forget, did you know this was a blacklist? This was on the 2011 blacklist, and he picked up the option for it. Bateman picked up the option for it.
That's so cool.
Remember when we were like doing the research, and I was like, "What? Really?"
Yeah,
Did you know that?
I do.
That's what I just tripped across that. Yeah.
Oh wow!
So they definitely get put into production.
That's so cool.
If they're at the top of the list. So anyway, go ahead. Who are our primaries in this?
So our primaries are Jason Bateman, Catherine Hahn, Allison Janney, and a boy named...
What about Philip Baker Hall?
I'm sorry, Philip Baker Hall.
Come on.
An Indian boy.
He was he has the Indian boy. I can't remember that kid's name.
In real life, his name is Rohan.
Rohan, yeah. And when I looked him up on Wikipedia, it says he is a retired child actor. He was actually the son of, his character was the son of a Pakistani or an Afghani, just a homeowner in Pakistan during. This isn't a movie you've seen, but there was a movie with. This is the worst part of off the cuff broadcasting is that I'm forgetting all the key points. Movie with Mark Wahlberg. It was him and his SEAL team that went out to find a terrorist out in the middle of nowhere in Afghanistan, and they got ambushed. And his entire team died. Lone Survivor. Oh, God, that was long, drawn out, totally. I know.
You got there. It's nice. Good job.
You're giving me the look of you just killed 2 minutes, dum-dum.
No, I was looking for it.
It was Lone Survivor, and the kid in Bad Words played a village person's son. And actually, I think that was right after, or it was right before Bad Words. I think. It was?
Well, I'm just repeating what you said, but I don't.
Because he was little in that one. And I remember like trying to place his face. But I was going to tell you that Philip Baker Hall.
Same year.
It was? Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, he was real close. He was little.
Who else? Well, irrelevant.
What were you going to say?
I was just going to say who else was in that movie, but that's irrelevant. So
no. Who else was in that? Who was in Oppenheimer? That kid who was in Oppenheimer, who you were like, we haven't seen him in a minute. Hartnett?
Josh Hartnett?
Yeah, I think that was him. Maybe not. You gotta look.
I'm
it up.
looking it up.
Yeah.
It's going very slow. No, I think you're right.
Was he in it?
Yeah, it looks like it.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, he was in it. And then Ben Foster
Yep.
was in it.
Mm-hmm.
And then, what's the kid who was in?
No, maybe no Josh Hartnett.
No, he looks like Josh.
But he really does.
What's that guy's name?
Is it Taylor Kish?
Taylor Kish. Yeah,
It is?
it is. Yeah, and then the other guy who was in Into the Wild.
Yeah.
What's that kid's name?
Emil Hirsch.
Emil Hirsch. Yeah, all these people with SH in their last name.
I know,
Or
not
CH,
helpful.
whatever. But Philip Baker Hall was in a Seinfeld episode, which I know you never saw, but he played a librarian, similar to the role he plays in this. I totally hijacked your description of this movie.
That's quite all right.
But anyway, go ahead.
Was the librarian a regular recurring character, or just once or twice?
No, it was like Jerry forgot to return a book, and this guy was he was like the police for the library, and so he showed up to Seinfeld's house and read him the riot act for not
Stealing
returning, for stealing a book.
I just asked because I don't know what I've been looking at, but I've just been noticing all these different actors from different things have been on Seinfeld.
Oh yeah,
There are a lot of shows like that. People started on ER or what's that, Law and Order, and I'm just like, oh yeah, I
tons of
know,
them.
and so
Tons
that's
of
why I was asking.
they had like a 1 or a 2 episode
Yeah.
arc, and then they show up in a movie, like a mid-range part in a movie, and next thing you know, they're on a billboard.
Yep, and I'm just like, oh my gosh,
And it seems overnight, but it always takes
a really long.
3, 5, 10 years.
Okay, so
Go ahead.
back on track.
Back on track. Hit
Bad
it.
words.
Bad words.
So we were talking about the Indian actor, and he was also Mowgli in the last Jungle Book movie that they made in 2018, which, if anyone did not see, was very good.
I was going to say there was no way that kid was alive when that cartoon came out. You weren't alive either.
But he was the only real thing in that movie. Spoiler alert, my bad.
What do you mean, the only real thing?
Because it was all CGI.
Oh.
It was very cool.
Strangely, I didn't see that.
I'll invite you next time.
Oh, all right.
I will not.
And so, give us the overview.
Okay, just a moment. I have to get there.
We just saw this.
Yeah, but I was looking up other stuff. I just don't want to, give a false,
Breakdown.
yeah. So I like reading someone else's words. I'm sorry for the delay.
We're losing listeners by the
Okay,
second here.
so this movie, Bad Words, was a comedy drama. And on IMDb, it says a spelling bee loser sets out to exact revenge by finding a loophole and attempting to win as an adult. Now, quite honestly, that description doesn't really grab me, but I was looking on Netflix at movies, independent movies in particular, and this movie just came up, and it was like the third one that I looked at, and I was like, I want to watch this.
I don't believe any of that. I think the reason why we watch this is because you really enjoy the banter between Will Arnett and Jason Bateman on Smartless, and you're like, oh, he's starring in it, and he looks like a jerk, and he acts like a jerk. We got to watch this.
I think part of that story is true for you. But yes, Jason Bateman was a draw, for sure.
Yeah.
Now I'm thinking about what I was going to say. Lost my train of thought.
Guy Trilby.
The character that Jason Bateman plays.
Yes.
Thank you. So he's I would say 40-year-old man, 40-something-year-old man, and he tries to, he doesn't try. He enters into a top spelling bee.
The Golden Quill.
As an adult. And, of course, the spelling bee is full of children, full of kids, and there were several scenes throughout the movie where the parents of the other kids in the spelling bee would come up to him and be like, "You're such an embarrassment, or you're ruining everything for all these kids who worked so hard." Yet, to me, at the same time, his character could perform. He spelled all these words. It never said the backstory of where he got all that, but he totally could do it, and all he killed it.
Yeah, these are words, and I know most adults who couldn't spell, let alone have heard of these words, or could have broken down the etymology of them. And it's funny that it's just for kids because
it's such an adult thing.
Yeah, I would think there's a lot of adults that would get booted out of this.
I could never ever see myself as a spelling bee contestant. When I was not now, not little, anything.
And it's so funny that that's an actual I've seen documentaries about the parents and the kids who join these things and compete in them, and they become it's like any competition. You have that one sect of the competing group that's just ravenous about it, and it's their whole life. And the kid in this movie had a book that he named, and it was basically his little dictionary. And he had methodologies for remembering words, and I think that true to the point, I think there are in any competition, there's for cheerleaders, for example, there's people who just want to compete, or beauty pageants, they just want to compete and they take it seriously. And then there's this other level where the parents are, it's often a combination of the kids and the parents are really the ones who get
who push their kids.
Yeah, they get bananas about it. It's
insane.
It's this represents, this is the showcase of my success with my kid.
Yep.
But I don't want to get too far off the movie. How did it didn't really spend a lot of time, or any time for that matter, explaining how he developed this ability, or how he every word this guy knew and was able to spell flawlessly. But what they dance around is his motives for doing this, because he knows it's running against the grain, and he knows that it's upsetting people, and there's a reason why he's doing it, but he doesn't reveal it.
No, right, and it's not apparent. And I'm trying to think if, in the preview when I watched it, if I knew that that was something that was behind it or not. I guess it doesn't really matter, but
well, that's the marketing and how they sell it. But once you get into it,
yeah, very well said.
The only thing that was, there are trailers that do it. I think it's probably tough to make a trailer that does a great job of not giving away the entire movie, but giving a good synopsis of the plot.
Yes.
And I think that's kind of a lost art form. But this one was, I was just sold on Bateman, and that he was in a spelling bee, and he was kids. Vulgar. Yeah, he was just being vulgar and rude and abrasive. I love abrasive characters. Abrasers are characters that just don't give a fuck, and they're just going to do. They have a reason for doing something, and they're doing it there. I just love that attribute in a person, especially when it's on film, because you can kind of ratchet up the gruffness.
Yeah.
That you exaggerate what most civilized people are like.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But
I just think his character, and I guess in all movies, actors and actresses are probably like this, but he starts the movie like with the personality that he has, and then he goes through the whole movie with it. I mean, and to your point, like there were so many good, I would say, one-liners from him and the kid, which I thought was really impressive, actually. So first, his one-liners, like, they just kept coming. I mean, we were just sitting there laughing hysterically. And sometimes we would have to, like, rewind back to, like, be like, can we hear that again? Because that was so good. I thought about watching it again, but I haven't made it that far.
Like his, especially on his podcast, like just he and Sean and Will, they have a real authentic banter.
It's so real. It's so authentic. It's so natural. I mean, I guess all of those words mean the same thing, but they do it so well.
Yeah, they do it so well that you think, this should be written down. This should be in a movie. And it's almost like this movie was like they took one of the characters and his dynamism with Sean and Will, and it's like, I'm just gonna like just ratchet up his aggression, and make him have to compete with a bunch of kids, like playing like a professional football player, playing football with a bunch of like sixth graders.
Yeah,
because he's kicking ass left and right
all the time. It's just really interesting too, because it is at a spelling bee, and I mean that's not something that you would think would be in the premise of a movie at all, or very often. I mean, I know
because it would sound kind of like boring.
Yeah, and you'd probably think, like, who would watch it? I have to be honest. My mom does kind of have, like, a little obsession with the whole world of people in spelling bees. And so I've seen several documentaries they have.
She didn't try to put you or your sisters in it,
Oh,
did
gosh,
she?
no.
Okay.
No, like, the extent of my spelling. And I consider myself a pretty good speller, but not like a spelling bee speller.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I can spell... Like, spelling in school. Mm-hmm. I excelled in spelling in school, and so I'm like, I'm a good speller, but...
How many words were on you had spelling tests, right?
Mm-hmm.
I can't remember if we had, like, because they were in, like, third, fourth grade, somewhere in there.
Yeah. Yep, that sounds right.
Like, were there 10 or 20?
I was going to say, like, 12 to 15.
Maybe, yeah. And how did they do them? Because, did the teacher say it, and then you had to write it out?
Well, from what I remember, you got a list at the beginning of the week, maybe?
Yeah.
And then you, like, practice that
right.
at home and at school. And then at the end of the week, you'd have your spelling test. And, yeah, the teacher would walk...
How'd the test go?
And the teacher would walk around, and she would say apple. And then you would write down... You would spell apple on your piece of paper.
Yeah, okay. I remember practicing for those. Okay.
But yeah, I just think it's very interesting, and like we were talking earlier about Jason Bateman's character as a spelling bee contestant versus the kids that were participating, and as I said before, he was just killing it. He would get up there and they would give him the word, and then he would just immediately spell it, whereas the other kids who had studied maybe differently than his character, maybe not, we don't really know.
He studied differently because he had like 40 years to like work on it.
This is true. But he just rattled off the words, whereas these other kids got up and they'd be like...
They'd be asking for roots and...
and all this extra information. And I always wondered, like, watching these documentaries, like I said, that I've watched, like, how do these kids know? But like you said, this is their life. This is all they do. They eat, sleep, and breathe this. Like, I'm sure they're homeschooled because, like... If you went to school, when would you have time to do all this crazy, insane work? But like these kids know so much information, it's ridiculous.
Well, do you ever think
it hurts my head?
Yeah, I know. Do you ever think when they're asking for like the Latin root or it to be used in a sentence, I always kind of feel like in the very back of their head, they're like, I don't know what the hell this is. I gotta stall for time.
Actually, I've never thought about it, but yes, as soon as you. We're saying it.
You're like you are stumped, and you're.
Yeah, and maybe that's what it. Yeah, they're very impressive. Don't get me wrong. I feel like for a minute, like I'm like knocking them, but like I'm not. I just, it's such a different world, and like so, I am not an academic person, and this is just so. These people are serious. They're like hardcore. They don't. It's not like a joke. It's like the people who do the Rubik's Cube.
It's like especially the parents. The parents are, like, they're sitting in the audience and nail biting. We should also probably explain that in this movie, Bateman's character exercises a loophole that it's just anyone who can be in the spelling bee who has not graduated the 8th grade, and he didn't.
Good call. Yes, we should definitely say that, because that is big...
he just skates in on this loophole and exploits it, and then utilizes 40 years of growth to implement psychological warfare on these kids while he's waiting to go up. And I don't want to give away the tricks that he does to just mind fuck these kids into screwing up when they're up at the podium. But like, he's so masterful.
And not that his
it.
character, sorry not to cut you off, excuse me, but not that his character should ever be unapologetic. Unapologetic, thank you. But he just came in and he was like, I'm not, he was not leaving. He came to this tournament.
He was totally bullheaded about it. He's like, I'm allowed to be here.
Yeah, and like, I mean, they talked to the head of the tournament, right, who's played by Allison Janney. She's great
furious. She is furious about his presence. Everybody's
furious about it, but like, he talks to parents, he talks to her, he talks to like, what do you call, like, the guy, like the
Philip
he talks
Baker
to
Hall's
all
guy.
the head people, like the people
Philip
in
Baker
charge
Hall.
of all this stuff, and they of course want him to leave, and he doesn't say it like this, but I'm not leaving, I'm not going anywhere, because like you said, he found this loophole and he's just like, I'm staying, I'm gonna win
you can
this.
Close the loophole for next year, but rules
right
are
now,
written,
here
you're
I
going
am
to abide by them.
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah.
well, you're upsetting all these people. Like, look, that's life.
It's so funny. I just think about it every time you say that. He's just like upsetting these kids and these parents, and using his 40 years of expertise and thought and craft, and
I think he says that he's like a proofreader. He's like a technical proofreader or something, or he became that. He said at the very beginning of the movie he did something like that, and then he's like, yeah, I'm taking a break from that and concentrating on this now.
I don't remember that.
If we rewatch
but in the beginning,
it,
he could.
He says something
in his
like
monologue or something in the beginning.
Like something like a technical proofreader. But there is, who's the actress who tags along with him as the reporter?
Catherine Hahn.
Yeah. They have kind of a she's definitely compromised any journalistic principle she had, like, to get this story, but she's everything that she's in, she's really boisterous and loud and obnoxious and funny, but she does her job and figures out exactly what his motivations are for doing this. Mm-hmm. And it's revealed late. I struggled with what I was going to say about this when it actually came up, because we don't want to spoiler alert anything, like, mm-hmm. given how old it is, but when you find out the reason for why he's doing this, I don't really fault him. All the parents and the kids, they're kind of collateral damage. Mm-hmm. But he has a focused target for why he's doing what he's doing. Mm-hmm. And I got to tell you, I guess there's two ways to look at this. There's two ways, like, it's like, grow up. Mm-hmm. You don't need to do this. Mm-hmm. But, like, depending on how you were, he was really hurt as a child. That's mm-hmm. all I'll say. And he has the opportunity to do something about it, and all these pieces fall into place. He's like, yeah, I'm going to take advantage of it. Why the hell not? Mm-hmm. I am doing it. The focus of my rage is going to know the mistake they made, and mm-hmm. I just can't fault the character. I totally get it.
Oh no, I don't think you can fault him at all, his character at all. And especially for living with what he lived with for so long. I mean, that's a really long time. I'm the same age, and that's a long time to be carrying around something like that.
Yeah.
And for him to finally act on it, like, I can't imagine, because we have this conversation in like other life all the time, but you see the world differently as an adult. And as you grow up, you're just like, oh, well, when I was a kid, this is what I thought, or this is what I expected, and then everything changes. Nothing is, you just can't predict or see the future. So yeah, he's been holding on to something for a very, very long time, and he acted on it.
I'm always surprised with, like, it's a funny thing about movies is, like, you can see a picture and it, like, it really moves you. It, like, stays with you.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes, and depending on whatever that movie is, there's a lot of movies that just don't gain any traction. They don't go anywhere, and you're, like, baffled by it.
Mm-hmm.
Because you personalize the experience, and you're like, this movie makes so much sense.
Yeah.
It's so funny.
Mm-hmm.
How did it, like, how are more people not talking about it? And then you, like, we didn't really talk about the budget, but I looked it up briefly.
Yeah, it's very interesting.
I think it was somewhere around, like, actually, I've got the Wikipedia here. I think he made it for like 13 million. No, it was produced for 10 million and earned 7.8. So it was kind of a dud. I'm sure they made up some on the, like, streaming release and the if they were in. I don't even know if they were doing DVDs yet.
Yep, there were. Or they were.
I'm sure it was kind of a break-even project, but, like,
Hopefully, yeah.
it makes you kind of wonder if. I
I'd
don't
really
want to dump on the the rest of the population who didn't see this and didn't gravitate to it, but it's been a long time since I've seen a movie that made me laugh out loud.
I know, it's too bad that more people, like, I never heard of it again. Like, I was doing a search, and I came across it, and I was like, well, let me see what this is about. And it was just, like, really worth it.
You know, the other, like, we're recording this while the WGA strike is going on, and SAG, it very possibly could strike in the near future.
Mm-hmm.
And something like this that they produce for a small amount of money, and now it's getting an audience on streaming. I don't know how many downloads it's received, but when you know that, it's calculated in millions of people who viewed this, especially on streaming services,
Mm-hmm.
and then people like Andrew Dodge, the writer, and Bateman aren't getting more of a piece of that. That's really kind of, I know, it's really kind of criminal. I'm going to come out and say that. I think that it is incumbent upon the artists to, either through their representation or personally they have to work a contract better. They have to have, if you're going to draw something up, they should have more ownership of it, because when they sell it outright, as far as I understand.
Yeah.
And then when it gets produced and monetized and made into a visual product and then sold and streamed, they've relinquished and somewhere throughout that chain they relinquish ownership. And artists got to learn, I'm not victim shaming here, but they need to learn the power of ownership and how to retain it.
Yeah.
Or to lease their content or their product better. Because something like this could make its money back on streaming, but Netflix is going to recapture like 98% of it, which I just think is a little, it's really kind of sad, because, like, everybody who worked to create the property doesn't really get to benefit after it's
that's not
sold.
fair. I don't like that.
It does come down to, crafting a contract, but writers, if there's a way that your guild can work something into your contract where if gone are the days of residuals with streaming, which is really sad, because if something got replayed later 5 or 10 years later on TV, the writers and creators of Seinfeld or Friends, for example, they're still making money on that. But when it goes to streaming, that gets like sliced and diced down to nothing.
Yep.
And because streaming's a new modality, and you got to catch up to that new tech, or the creatives or the creative people need to catch up with how to monetize this new tech.
Yeah, because it wasn't there back in the day.
So as you were talking, I realized that I did not have a recipe ready.
Oh.
But okay. I got one.
Oh, good. Nice multitasking.
Yeah, that's what I do. All right, so again, I always got to shout out the Instagram. This is not on at JAY Hey Honey, but lots of other recipes are. Actually, this isn't too far off from that thing that we tried last week. Rosemary balsamic peaches with honey.
That's so funny. I was thinking about something with peaches after we did
Ta-da! So hopefully we still have connection here, and I can tell you what's in this. It takes about 25-30 minutes to make, 4 servings. Ingredients: 3/4 cup whole milk ricotta cheese, 2 tablespoons butter, ripe peaches, about 4 of them, halve them and pit them. 1/4 cup white balsamic vinegar, 1 sprig of fresh rosemary, and honey, preferably from me. All right, real quick. I love these easy ones because I think a lot of people see the word recipe and they're just like, ugh, it's going to be an hour before I eat. That's how I think, anyway. Food processor. Okay, so this doesn't apply for you. In a food processor, process the ricotta for a minute or until smooth, and then spread on 4 dessert plates. Oh, I thought that was yogurt. Okay, so it's food processor or chopped up ricotta. In a skillet, melt butter over medium heat. Add the peaches, the cut sides down. Cook 3 minutes until browned. You know, you could do this on a grill too. This would be just as good on a grill.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking, grilled peaches.
Until they're just a little bit softened. Remove and divide among the prepared plates. Add vinegar and rosemary to the skillet. Bring to a boil, stirring to scrape up any brown bits. Boil gently uncovered for about a minute or until they thicken up. And remove and discard the rosemary. You don't want the leaves in there. You just want the essence of the rosemary to come off. And then spoon the vinegar mixture onto the peaches and drizzle with honey. If you're going to use one of mine, I would say go with the cinnamon, or actually for one of the single pollens, I've got a new mango tropical fruit, which kind of has some mapley taste to it, but also if you do follow my page, I also do a lemon blossom honey that has a kind of a buttercream taste to it. The mango blossom is like a combination of that and maple syrup, but the fruity notes are punched way up, so I think it'd work really good with peaches. That's the dinner and movie section. So eat it up, and then make it, eat it up, and then email one or the both of us and tell us how it changed your life. Okay. You ready for the blacklist? Oh boy, me too. All right. This week you found it and I picked it. Black Pill. Do you have the writer?
I don't, but want to click and I'll have it.
I'm not sure why they named it this, or whether, we haven't read the script, we just read the synopsis. Basically, the synopsis it's very brief, but it's about I believe a kid who lives in the suburbs and is a little socially awkward, doesn't have a lot of friends, spends most of his time on social media and on YouTube and inside, which tends to be the direction young people are taking now. damn young kids. And he falls in love with, he has like a favorite YouTuber, which I'm going to assume for the script is a girl. And then he kind of has like did you ever see that, what was it, 1 Hour Photo with Robin Williams?
I didn't ever see that movie.
I started to watch it and I fell asleep. Not that it was a bad movie. I was just really tired when I watched it. But I think it's the same kind of thing. Like he gets a little obsessed with somebody, and then he finds out that this YouTuber either lives on his street or lives in the same town.
Yeah, that does sound vaguely familiar. And yes, I think it is a girl because in the synopsis it says whether she likes the attention or not.
Did you find the writer?
I did. Her name is Alexandra Serio.
Does she have anything else that's produced, or is she a newbie?
That I don't know. It doesn't say.
Yeah, give her a quick look here. I'm gonna go with my picks for. We only came up with 2 principals because the synopsis only clued us into 2 people. I'm sure there'd be parents of these 2 people, but as the billable people, I don't know that this wouldn't be a giant release. I think it'd be a smaller. It's funny, we don't even speak in terms of theatrical releases anymore. I'm sure this would be a streamed product or a television product. But the kid is named Jared, and I looked at an actor by the name of Jadine Martell.
I don't know who that is.
He was in Knives Out. He was in It. He was in Midnight Special. I know you never saw It, but Jadine Martell played the kid who was pulled under the street. Was the Georgie? He played Georgie, the young kid of one of the primary characters who died really early, and I don't know the primary character's name, but it haunted him throughout the entire story. But the Georgie was the little kid, and that was played by Jadine Martell. I do remember that. He's a younger actor. These are going to be younger kids, like kids under the age of 20. And the YouTuber, did you find if she's done anything else, this writer?
Yes, if it's the same person. So I haven't read very detailed about it, but she's created some sort of short horror film excuse me, called Tingle Monsters.
Does it say where it played?
It's streaming online right now.
Oh, she must like these
So she has
scary. She's like scary horror genre.
Yep.
I could tell right when I started researching this. This is not if this goes into production. This is not something you're going to see.
I don't know, it'd just be interesting to read. This is quite a lengthy article, but an article about her, because apparently she has a thing for... Sorry, I can't read and discuss at the same time. It's a lot of information, and I hope it's the same person.
Uh-huh. She has a thing for what?
I don't know, like this genre of...
Horror.
Yeah, and like online...
like online stalking, like some kind of online.
Yeah, like because I think didn't we say like earlier, how people, like young people, social media is their life. They don't know how to, like actually interact with people because they don't do like actual face to face. Yeah,
it's almost like there's like I've seen this in younger people like. They have almost like an autism when they encounter people just out walking around. I see it at markets like every day. Like they're afraid to talk to people or they have like a clumsy, like even kids who are in their 20s, they'll have like a clumsiness about the way they interface. But they can say whatever, they can say all manner of nasty things online.
Yep. They don't censor themselves or stop or anything. They'll just say and do whatever.
And I think that's the thing. Once they're removed from the impact, like, I'm one to talk. Like, I can shoot my mouth off when somebody says the wrong thing to me. But I think I've got enough of I'm grounded enough to know that when there's people who they have the expressed intent of being rude, I don't mind giving it back to those people. But then there's people who they're just not. They're not fully formed in how they interact with people who are in front of them. They have to deal with the emotions of what they have said from somebody else. And when you say nasty things online, you don't have to deal with any of those things.
None of it.
So when somebody says something rude or abrasive or inappropriate to somebody out in the real world, and they respond in kind, the person who is delivering that message is often taken aback. Like, what I don't understand. Like, you're being a jerk. That's what that's the problem.
And also in real life you can see who it's coming from, whereas online you could change to be someone different, so it's not from you. You know what I'm saying?
Oh God, that happens. Most of the time, you don't even know if you're talking to a real person. You're talking to a bot, some kind of AI.
Yeah, that's true.
Or these people have, these people who spend that much time online. They have 18 different identities. They're like digital schizophrenic people.
Yeah, the world is different. Very, very, very different.
For the YouTuber, I picked.
Focus.
Well, no, this is. I'm fairly confident you haven't heard of this girl either. Paris Berelk. You ever heard of that?
Nope.
Berelc. She was in a Disney XD series, Mighty Med and Lab Rats Elite Force. And before anybody says anything, that is not something I have seen. I just think that she would fit the part, and mainly because when I pulled up her IMDb, there was a picture of her on a YouTube channel talking into a microphone. I'm like, oh man, this is perfect. That's the perfect image, because I would imagine that this YouTuber is somebody who wants to have her face on camera.
What was her last name again, please?
Berelc. First name Paris. She was also in a Netflix series, Alexa and Katie, which I have also not seen.
Okay.
What do you got? Read about them later. The people are listening.
I get distracted. I can't. I'm sorry.
Woman.
I'm sorry. Okay, so, the kid who is awkward and lonely and sits at home on the computer. Jared. I chose actor Jason Tremblay. I think that's how you say his name.
How do I know
Have you ever
him?
heard of that?
I've
him?
heard the name, but
not that. I'm sorry. I don't know if
Don't be sorry. You don't know him.
Yeah, that's true. I don't. Nor will I ever. But he was in a short movie called The Room with Brie Larson.
Oh yeah.
Oh no, sorry, it wasn't a short. I got
that was
another
a movie.
thing she did. That was a whole movie. Yeah, but that was a very good, creepy,
That's the one where he was
movie.
kidnapped, right? Him
Yeah,
and the
they
mom
were in
kidnapped.
this little living in the back of this crazy person's house or whatever. Like
They get rescued in
a shed.
the very beginning, right? Isn't that the one that was like it was up for an Oscar?
They do get rescued, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it probably was up for an Oscar.
Yeah.
It's been a while.
Okay.
But he was the little boy in that movie. And then he was also in, I think it was called Wonder or Wonder Boy. It was a movie with Julia Roberts and about this kid who his face was disfigured. And so, he had a hard time in life and going to school. Everybody looked at him weird and like.
It sounds like
he
Mask. Did you ever hear about Mask? That was from the 80s. Cher was in that. It was about a kid who was disfigured. He had like something like the Elephant Man's ailment, and his face was badly misshapen. But Cher was the mother in that, and it sounds like a similar movie.
It really does. It really does. I think this Wonder was based on a book, a book before. But anyway, that's what he's from. And I just think I'm sure he's been in other movies, but he started out as a very young child actor and has done well. I don't know. I was looking at actors and I just thought maybe he could do this.
I picked this Jared kid this Jaden kid because I would believe him as somebody who like has a hard time talking to people. He's a little. I mean, the photos that I've seen, maybe underweight, lank. He could pull off clumsy, I would think, and he doesn't strike me as the alpha. I think you want a kid in that role who's not. It just doesn't have A-list qualities. Is a bit flawed.
Yeah.
Is skinny, a little meeker, afraid, or can play afraid.
Yep.
And then the YouTuber, like she's outgoing enough to have, I would assume, have her face on camera.
Yeah.
So you'd want her pretty, presentable, well-spoken, gregarious, engaging, knowledged. They'd be like polar opposites.
Yep.
I would think.
Yeah, I would think so too. And that's part of why I picked who I picked to play Jared, because I've seen him in, not like a lot, but in roles where he could go either way. But I think he would be perfect for this role because he is smaller and meeker and could keep to himself.
You know, I don't know how many people are listening to this on an active basis, but you know what? I mentioned this to you last week. What I'd be interesting to know is some of these movies will go into production, but they may be hard to track because after they're picked up, some of those provisions might be that they change the title or the title gets switched around.
Yeah.
Or something. So something can go into production, but it might not be called Black Pill. It might be called, Look at Me or whatever.
Right,
and it'll be and you don't know if it's unless the writer is still credited, or if they might even pick it up from the writer and then rewrite it multiple times, and then new writers will be assigned to it. Let's say that whoever your writer is for, what was the writer's
Alexandra.
name? If Alexander, I would assume, would be on part of it, but like it might be shared with rewriter people.
Yeah.
So
original screenplay by her.
Screenplay by her,
not,
but then
yeah.
Rewrites and redos can be any number of people. So that's kind of the hard thing to track. At least with Bateman's movie, like he was in total control of it. He optioned it and then he directed it and starred in it, so he didn't have to change the name.
Yeah.
But that is kind of not that it's a pitfall, but if it ever comes up later, I think we're just going to find out about some of these movies that go into production just by happenstance. I don't know that there's necessarily it'd be interesting if there was a site out there that tracked blacklist properties from inception to when they made the list.
Yeah, that would be really interesting.
If they actually go into production or if they actually get releases.
Well, recently with this blacklist, we looked at a different year for the blacklist, and when we started doing that, we saw some other titles of movies that have since been made into, like, went all the way, if you will. And I was like, oh, that sounds really familiar. I just saw that movie.
Which one?
So that's pretty cool. Air. Remember last night when I said?
That's right.
So I don't know, I thought that was really cool. Like, I don't know.
That's right.
There were a few examples on the site we were looking at. Was the list from 2021, I think. Yep. But that's just neat, start to finish.
I think we'll encounter that more as if we pull blacklist titles from the current year, but we'll be able to, like, if I look at for next time, it's my pick. If I go back to 2019 or 2017, that list.
Oh yeah.
But the more
You're right.
recent ones, you're gonna.
It's going to be a little bit, yeah.
You're gonna have to wait
That's
to see
true.
how it plays out.
That's a very good, yeah. For my YouTube lady, I picked Caitlin Dever. Do you know who that is?
Not by name.
You might recognize her if you saw a photo of her, but she was sort of recently, in the movie Booksmart, and she was also in a short film called Short Term 12.
What is Booksmart about?
Two girls who are at the top of their graduating high school class, and it's the last day, and they decide to go out and party on the last day of their high school career.
Huh. And then I imagine it's more than that. It's got to be more than, hey, we're smart, let's go out and cut loose.
Yeah, a little bit more than that, but it's also like that's what it is. They're like, we've never had like a day of fun in our life. I mean, not fun like that kind of fun.
Oh, so it's kind of a merging of like you have this book smart, and then you don't have worldly smart, or you don't have like street smart.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
All right.
Yeah, and it's like a whole new world to them, and it's like, the summer's gonna go by, and then they're gonna go off to their Ivy League college schools. Anyway, it's a good movie. It's fun.
All right.
But yeah, she would be good.
I have not seen either of those, or I have not seen that movie. And you don't have a picture of her, do you?
No, but I can pull one up.
Yeah, pull one up, because I mean, sometimes that's the funny thing, especially with younger actors or people who are, starting out in their careers. You'll see them in smaller projects, or you'll see them on commercials, and but they won't gain any traction for. To us, it seems like overnight when you're referencing a previous project they were on, but for them, it might be 5 years. All right, so let me take a look at this person. That's her?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I believe her as a YouTuber. I don't recognize her, though.
I think she'd be really good, too. I mean, actors are very versatile. They can do all kinds of things. They can't. No, they're not yet. Sorry. What I meant to say is I don't know what I said. But yes, they can be. And I think that she, as well as the actor that I chose for Jared, could do either way.
Yeah, she's a cutie pie, but I don't recognize her at all.
She is cute.
Yeah.
But I like watching her. She's amusing to me.
Be curious to see what her line delivery is like. Well, all right. You get a thumbs up from me on that. I'll have to.
Thank you.
I'll keep a watchful eye out for that. Do we have anything else, or are we good?
I think that might be it. But that was a fun one.
Yeah.
I mean, they're all fun, but that was a good,
I was pleasantly surprised. I can't underscore it enough. Bad Words was definitely a movie that it's been a long time since I've seen a movie and laughed out loud in it repeatedly, and that was one.
And it delivered the whole way through from beginning to end. It wasn't like, oh, the beginning was funny, oh, the end was funny. It was the whole way through. It's definitely a movie I would watch again.
If anyone listens to this and you don't appreciate an acerbic, biting humor, it's not for you. But we both really like that kind of behavior, and Teen Wolf Bateman, I mean, he has grown out of that into he's a caustic dialogue delivery machine.
We love him.
Oh man, he's good. Ever since he played it was a very brief role, but he played a coke-addicted attorney in Smokin' Aces, and he was just a motor mouth in that. But yeah, ever since then, he's taken on roles where his wit is it's like a razor blade, and there's not enough actors like that in my personal opinion. Yeah, if you're listening, go see it. Enjoy. Anything else?
That's it.
All right, we're out of here. Toodles.
Bye.